going to mug me?
Am I going to mug you?
Is that gorgeous or what, eh?
And I believe I can run a decent marathon.
Download Veely now.
Hidden under a thick green mantle is the heart and soul of Gabon. This tropical rainforest, which covers 80% of the country, provides the Gabonese with all the essential elements for their traditions, medicine and resources.
We can't leave the forest because it nourishes us. This forest is our temple. It's our heritage.
Faced with a modern world, which is so far removed from its environment, some men and women are trying to reconnect with the forest and protect its inhabitants. They are the sentinels of Gabon. Night has fallen over Libreville, Gabon's capital. Drawn to the artificial lights of the city and the hope of an easier life, almost half the country's population is concentrated in the Gabonese metropolis. Here, the nourishing forest has disappeared, replaced by a concrete jungle. The night market is the meeting point for football enthusiasts and singletons with nowhere else to go. 30-year-old Juste likes to wander there after a day's work.
I am a young man living in Libreville. I work in the building trade. I make bricks. Sometimes I drink a beer with the others. That's my life in Libreville. Here, people have opted for an easy life. I feel as if we've lost touch with our roots. Gabonese culture comes from the forest. Here in Libreville, we have lost a sense of that. To reconnect with my culture, I'm going back to its source. Back to the forest. Tomorrow is a big day for me. I feel a bit on edge, a bit scared, because I don't know what to expect. I honestly don't know. Tomorrow I will meet my initiation father.
The man Juste is going to meet is to be found 20 kilometers north of Libreville, on the edge of Mondar Forest. That's where Romulus lives and practices. Romulus is a gonga, in other words, a spirit guide and medicine man. This morning, he has come to harvest the prize crop of the Gabonese forest, iboga. Whether dried and ground into a powder or eaten raw, iboga acts as a stimulant for anyone ingesting it in small quantities, and when taken in strong doses, it provokes powerful visions. In a lot of countries, iboga is considered to be a dangerous hallucinogenic drug. But for practitioners of Bwiti, iboga is a sacred plant. It is a precious key which opens doors to the future and the spirit world. Bwiti is a lot of things. It is a godless religion, a vision of the world, and a form of therapy. But above all, it is an initiation ritual performed by Gabonese men seeking to follow traditions. Yannick and Juste apply white kaolin to their skin. White is the colour of novices, and today is the day of their initiation ceremony. They hope that the Ibaga will give them a glimpse of their future and help them to understand the obstacles strewn along their path.
Witi encourages wisdom and uprightness. This is an important moment for me because I'm going to find out lots of things that are happening in my life and in the world. For us, Witi is a way to reconnect with the forest.
The time has come for you to meet the river spirits. Iboga is our way of communing with our ancestors. The spirits you meet must smell the sacred plant on your breath. It is time for the crossing. It is time to eat the Iboga root.
To the initiates, Romulus administers a small dose of Iboga root, ground to a powder. Everyone reacts differently to the sacred plant, so they must get used to its effects gradually.
We finished getting ready. Now we will go to the river. Go and wash and prepare yourselves for this astral journey. Right, we have arrived at the river. When you come into contact with Iboga, first we must wash you to purify you physically and spiritually.
I feel completely transported. I've got shivers running down my spine. I'm trembling. I feel a presence. I sense that there are people around me, watching me. The river spirit, for example. He has spoken to me. He has spoken to me from the forest.
You are now facing Bwiti. You must tell me what you see in the water. The forest is full of spirits, and they like people who've taken Iboga. When they know you've taken Iboga, they try to appear to you. I can see them. Right this minute, I can see them. Now it's your turn to speak.
On that palm tree over there, I can see the face of a man with a painted face. He's got a red hat on his head, and next to him there is a duck.
Those are the spirits you've conjured up. They've come to greet you. Basse. Juste, Basse.
Under the effect of Iboga, Juste seems to perceive a world of spirits whilst remaining perfectly coherent.
Today I feel like a different man to the man I was yesterday. Yesterday I came here all pale and sad. I felt a heaviness. But this morning, I feel very light. I feel tall and handsome and happy. I'm so happy to have seen all that I wanted to see. I saw my marriage, I saw my promotions, I saw my job, I saw my children. I saw it all, and I'm going to leave happy because I know what awaits me. Thanks to the Iboga.
A few hours later, the vigil commences. The followers gather to sing the praises of their ancestors and of the spirits, asking for all the ills that afflict them to be cured. Inside the temple, men and women gather round the Gonga Amisoko, or master healers. Tonight, Romulus is leading the ceremony for these young initiates. They are now ready to swallow the Iboga bark gathered that morning. It will be a big enough dose to open their minds to the spirit world forever. Now that he has tasted the bitter Iboga bark, Juste has become a Bwiti initiate.
The young initiates come from the city. They've worked hard, but they've never felt satisfied. They have gone to consult their elders, who have told them they will find peace of mind in Bwiti. Bwiti is the science of nature and the forest. It was born of the forest. Without the forest, we are nothing. Modernization tricks us, it blinds us. It's as simple as that. Because a true Gabonese man is what you see before you. This is what a typical Gabonese man looks like.
Going back to your roots by reconnecting with the forest, the close link that exists between tradition and the forest can be explained by the country's geography. Situated in Central Africa, Gabon is a small country covering 270,000 square kilometers. It is almost entirely covered by tropical rainforest. The density of the vegetation and the rudimentary road network have driven 90% of Gabonese people to the coast or along the rivers, which for a long time were the only means of transport. That is the case for the capital, Libreville, and for Port Gentil, but also for the small town of Lambaréné, on the banks of the Ogwe River. Lambaréné is famous for this legendary place, the Albert Schweitzer Hospital. Over 100 years ago, in this shabby-looking bush hospital, two ideas were invented that were revolutionary for the time: humanitarian engagement and a respect for the environment. Praxed is one of 80 nurses working at the hospital.
I'm going to shave your beard off because you can't do it yourself. There. You're going to be so handsome. You'll have women eyeing you up. Isn't that right, Johnny? Today's going to be your lucky day. This gentleman suffers from psychomotor retardation. He has severe learning difficulties. He even has difficulty answering certain questions. He has been here since he was born. The foundation takes care of this man and his family. There. Now wash yourself. We'll give that a good wash. That's it. Give it a good wash. Otherwise, when you pass people, they'll say, Umba smells bad, and we don't want that. Hello.
Johnny,
It feels good, doesn't it, Johnny, when I scratch your back? The others will be envious. You should sleep well tonight. You're not cold, are you? I love this guy. He has watched me grow up since I was a baby. We had a good relationship with him and his mother. They were our closest neighbours.
Praxed, a nurse and the daughter of a lab assistant, has lived her whole life here. Because this hospital is, above all, a place to live. It is the hospital village that Dr. Albert Schweitzer, the man who built it, always dreamed of. When Albert Schweitzer arrived here in 1913, Gabon was part of French Equatorial Africa. Newly qualified as a doctor and steeped in the Christian faith, this young utopian wanted to expiate the crimes of colonization and help to relieve some of the suffering in Africa. It was in Lamborghini, on the edge of the virgin forest, as he later wrote, that he decided to build his ideal hospital. It was to be a free clinic, designed to be like an African village, where the families of patients would actively participate in the care and healing of the sick, a place where all life would be sacred, whether human or animal. Schweitzer laid the foundations for humanitarian action and cultivated an ecological conscience that he called reverence for life. 40 years later, in the 1950s, the good doctor became a global superstar, and his hospital received donations from all over the world. In 1952, Schweitzer won a Nobel Prize, and with a $33,000 grant, funded the construction of a building for patients with leprosy called the Village Lumière. Praxed is expected there today, more than 50 years after Schweitzer's death.
Hello. Ah, there you are. I'll see if I have any medicine for you over there. Good evening, Jean-Claude. Right. You need to stand up so you can come and get some treatment. Slowly does it.
Jean-Claude, who suffers from leprosy, has lived in Village Lumière since 1978.
You've got some pus in there.
He worked for a number of years as a lab assistant here before retiring.
Oh, you'll have to be brave. I'm going to apply some pressure. There. It had to be done. It's starting to swell again.
After Schweitzer's death, Village Lumière gradually went downhill and emptied out. Today, its dilapidated buildings only house 4 patients suffering from leprosy.
The people who now live in the Village Lumière are either descendants of lepers or squatters who just showed up one morning. They found the houses empty and stayed on. They like it here, but they can't stand the sight of the lepers, who they see as untouchables. If they could find a way to throw them out of the village, they would do so. You need to see the doctor so he can give you some antibiotics. Some people can't stand the sight of them. But when I go to see them, there's a sense of relief. When I show up, they treat me as if I was the Messiah. They think I can solve all of their problems.
Praxed is very close to me. I have a soft spot for her. She's like a daughter to me. Yes, like a daughter.
Half a century after Schweitzer's death, this hospital village is a mere shadow of its former self. Neglected by the Gabonese state and rejected by patients who prefer more modern clinics, the hospital is in real financial difficulties, and the staff grumble that they are paid too little. The materialism and individualism of our century seem to have got the better of Schweitzer's communitarian ideals. The good doctor's dream has been dashed in these modern times.
I feel as if the Schweitzerian spirit has been broken. There is no longer that light that people once experienced. The hospital is falling to pieces. It's as if it was a piece of fabric that has been washed so many times that it is in shreds. Hello, everyone.
Hello, children. Are all the children okay?
Just like Schweitzer in his day, Arnaud Flamand left the comfort of his native France to settle in Lambaréné and lend a hand where it was most needed. Today, he is part of the Mother and Child Protection Team, and every week he goes to meet mothers and their children in remote villages.
Regarde le docteur.
Does he sleep under a mosquito net?
Oh, elle ne se sent pas
She's not
bien.
feeling well.
La petite, elle est malade.
The poor thing is sick.
Ça, c'est le palu.
She feels dizzy.
Ça, c'est
It's
le
malaria.
Elle veut vomir, elle veut vomir.
Oh, she's going to be sick. It's malaria.
Docteur,
Is she hot? Take her temperature.
laisse ta boîte, enlève la boîte.
Tell me if you're going to be sick.
Tu veux vomir, tu dis.
Maman, c'est ta fille
Is
aussi.
that your daughter?
Elle a anémie.
She's
hein.
anemic. She should be in hospital.
Voilà à l'hôpital. Hein. Elle a
She needs to go to hospital.
anémie beaucoup.
She's really very anemic.
Là, il faut même
She might even need a blood transfusion.
La santé
Community healthcare is one of Dr. Albert Schweitzer's legacies.
qui a
He invented the model for the integrated hospital.
de l'hôpital intégré. Alors, hôpital
That
intégré,
means a hospital that is integrated with the environment,
intégré
integrated with the population that makes up that environment, integrated in terms of the diseases it treats.
Donc, en venant,
Working closely with the people brings them relief
on les soulage.
and helps prevent certain degenerative diseases.
Certaines maladies qui peuvent
Even a
dégénérer,
slight case of malaria can quickly become serious.
devenir,
By treating it as early as possible, you can stop the situation from degenerating.
on arrive à empêcher que la situation dégénère. Tu veux t'asseoir
Do
là?
you want to sit down there? You'll be comfortable, no?
By bringing medicine to these remote villages, the doctors and nurses from the Schweitzer hospital are helping to keep people in their native environment. It's a way of fighting this rural exodus which has emptied the Gabonese forest. A hospital which maintains the link between humans and their natural habitat was Dr. Schweitzer's vision.
Dr. Schweitzer's legacy was huge. I take great delight in spending time in the hospital with those people whom society doesn't love, but whom I love. They have been rejected by society, but I embrace them. The hospital is my umbilical cord. It is my whole life.
Southeast of Lambaréné, down to the Congolese border in the south, lie the Mayombe and Chailloux mountain ranges, where a hilly landscape and lush vegetation have curbed human expansion. Here lies the untouched heart of the great forest. It is like a green ocean from which the odd island of human life emerges. This is one of the last refuges of the Babongo pygmies who are native to Gabon. Once nomadic, the Babongo people have now settled here and they practice subsistence farming. But their society is still structured around fishing, hunting and harvesting, all that the forest has to offer. Kombo is 33 years old. He is one of the best hunters in his village.
We have come into the forest in search of a creeper known as monai. Monai is the poison we use for hunting. But while we're in the forest, we can pick up other things. These silkworms, for example, if they're plump enough, we can take them back to the village to eat. Oh, they're only small.
Kombo, come and look at this.
The forest's very important to us because it nourishes us. We can find everything we need for survival in the forest. We're here. Let's walk around it.
It's at the base of this monai creeper that the poison is at its most powerful. But in order to reach it, Kombo is careful to walk around the plant, which can cause impotence or infertility in men who step over it.
If you have a tiny wound and you touch that, you're stuffed. There, we got enough here.
Don't leave that stick lying around.
No, I'm going to plant it in the ground. Animals come here. If one of them licks the poison off that stick, they'll die on the spot. We kill animals to eat them, not to leave them rotting in the forest. I don't like that. We're the guardians of this place. We must avoid waste in the forest. We mix the poison with crushed leaves and then apply it to the arrows. Then we go hunting with the poisoned arrows. This technique has been passed on by our ancestors. Before he died, my uncle took me into the forest to teach me how to harvest and prepare the monai. In theory, in Gabon's pygmy community, any man can prepare poison to go hunting with.
Once the poison has been prepared, it is carefully smeared onto the bamboo arrows. The poison tip is then dried over the fire so that it sticks to the wood better. The arrow's feathers, cut from a hard leaf, also come from the forest. Similarly, the rattan string and the arc are made from hardwood that bends in the heat. Barely 60 centimeters long, it is adapted to suit the height of the pygmy hunters and deadly from a short distance. For those Babongo people who can afford it, guns and cartridges have replaced poison and arrows. But hunting with a bow and arrow still features in any major event in the village. Shut away in this hut, Kombo's wife Marceline is living with her mother. In Babongo tradition, the women go into seclusion with their baby immediately after giving birth, and only emerge 2 or 3 months later, once they have totally recovered. Marceline and her baby are due to come out tomorrow. It is a rite of passage which will be duly celebrated in the tiny village of Chibonga.
Tomorrow's ceremony will allow my child to be safe when he comes out. It will prevent him from falling ill, and it will protect us all in the village.
This child had a twin brother who died at birth. That makes him all the more special in the eyes of the Babongo community.
Twins are rare here. The village rejoices when they are born, because it means the spirits have blessed the village. I lost one of my twins, but it's still a blessing. This child means the spirits will protect us.
We're well into the dry season, and the rivers have dried up. The animals have moved away, and this season it's very hard to find any game. In the rainy season, we'll leave the village and set up a temporary camp here, so we can gather nuts and go hunting. We'll stay here for 2 or 3 months, and then we'll return to the village once we've killed enough game to see us through the dry season. We need a lot of meat to share amongst all those people who don't hunt. A monkey. A monkey. Listen. Monkey. I shot the monkey, and it ran over there. It's between the branches and the creepers. It stopped. It's still hanging up there.
It's dead.
Yeah, I think it's dead.
The poison, which acts instantly once it gets into the bloodstream, has killed the prey in less than a minute. It is a mustached guenon, a common species which is not endangered. Kombo has shot a master stroke, with the arrow landing between its eyes.
Yeah, it's very important for the village to have skillful hunters, because the game is shared amongst the whole community. A hunter can't eat alone because that would frustrate the others. And then when they kill something, they won't share it either. That would mean the end of harmony in the Babongo community.
A great blue tobacco, another common species in the tropical forest. It's been a good day's hunting. The whole community will benefit. The sun is setting over Chibonga. Tonight, Kombo's wife and son will come out of seclusion. The village has gathered to celebrate the event.
Kombo, here is your wife and child. Keep them safe. The spirits will protect you.
Their geographic isolation and their inherited knowledge of their forest homeland have allowed the Babongo pygmies to carry on their traditions on the margins of the modern world. But the modern world is catching up with them. A few hours' drive away, trucks and chainsaws are hard at work. Today, 80% of Gabon is exploited for the wood industry, and each new road carved out of the forest opens up a new access route for poachers. In response to these threats to the environment, the Gabonese government gave 11% of the land the status of sanctuary in 2002. There are 13 national parks scattered across the country which serve as a refuge for the local flora and fauna. Luango National Park in the southwest of the country is perhaps the most emblematic of the Gabonese national parks. – 1,500 square kilometers of beaches, lagoons, mangrove swamps and forest have earned Luango the nickname of the last African Eden. Forest elephants, wiped out everywhere else for their ivory, have found true sanctuary in these marshes. Their trunks, which they use like snorkels, allow them to reach the deepest channels. Sonia, a Spanish primatologist posted to Luango, is making the most of a few hours of free time.
Go slowly now. We're getting close.
Don't worry, it's going to be fine. Don't panic. These elephants often do that. It's their way of intimidating you.
Okay, Carl, that will do. Let's leave him alone. That was crazy. A bit too close for my liking. But it's incredible to see one from so close up. No one would believe me back at the camp. I came to Luango National Park about 3 months ago, and the animal that scares me the most when I'm working in the forest is the elephant. My team and I are always careful not to come face to face with an elephant. They can be aggressive, and usually as soon as they see us, they charge. You have to be wary of them all the time. Then, after the elephants, it's the gorillas, of course. When a large silverback male charges at you, it's very frightening.
Sonia lives and works in the heart of Luango in the Gorilla Research Station. She is coordinating the work of 8 Babongo trackers, 1 other primatologist, 2 research assistants, and a cook and aide-de-camp. This small team lives cut off from the world in this rudimentary camp, in a remote spot between the lagoons and the forest.
Life at the camp is very simple. Our basic needs are covered. We have a room for privacy with a bed, but no luxuries. The people who visit us are always a bit shocked by our life here, by the fact that we shower using a jug of lagoon water. But the truth is that we Westerners have completely lost touch with nature, and I find that very sad. By living here, I feel as if I'm reconnecting with nature a bit.
Every morning, 2 different teams leave the camp to head off into the forest in search of gorillas. Their aim is to try to establish and maintain contact with a view to gaining a better understanding of how the gorillas of the plains behave. The search starts where the team left the gorillas the day before.
Are those teeth marks?
Yes.
From gorillas?
Yes.
So you left them here yesterday?
No, we left them over there.
So perhaps they've come back, looking for food.
Yes, in search of food.
We have just arrived at the gorillas' feeding ground. This isn't exactly where we left the group yesterday. We left them a bit further away in that direction. But apparently they woke up and came here to eat these tomella fruit.
These footprints are from this morning.
Are they from gorillas?
Yes.
Do you think they passed by here a long time ago?
They passed by here this morning, I'd say about 8 o'clock.
Here too. Right. So let's put our masks on, okay? We've located the group. They're about 10 meters away in that direction, in the trees. When we approach them, we make this sound, which they now associate with our presence. They know this sound now, and when they hear it, they know that it's us, and that calms them down. And now we put masks on to prevent the transmission of disease, because gorillas are sensitive to respiratory diseases. We are going to approach the group slowly, because even if we can see individuals in the trees, we don't know where the silverback is. To avoid any aggressive behavior, it's important to keep the dominant male in sight and to circumnavigate the group. That's Kamaya, the dominant male in the group. He's calm, but not completely reassured. He's keeping an eye on us. The rest of the group are eating in the trees.
The social interaction between adult gorillas seems to be very limited and remains a mystery to scientists. We know that the silverback dominates the group, but scientists have had a hard time trying to decipher the subordinate relationships that exist between other members of the family. When fruit falls off a tree, it should, in theory, go to the nearest dominant male.
Jean-Pierre, don't move. No. Don't move, Jean-Pierre. Don't move.
But with gorillas, as with humans, the weakest can walk off with the prize if they happen to be the fastest or the most reckless.
Waka is sitting waiting for something. Do you know why? There's a fruit there. There's a fruit right next to him. Since Kamaya is there, he's hesitating.
He's pretending to be looking for something.
Yeah, he's pretending to be looking for something on the ground. He's scratching the leaves.
Yes, because Kamaya is still watching him.
Kamaya is watching him, but only Ebwande has seen it. Kamaya doesn't really know what's going on.
He should pay more attention. Waka is still behind the tree. He's not coming any closer.
Ebwande is dominant over Waka.
Yes, yes. Kamaya, Ebwande, Waka.
That's it.
He's building a nest.
The gorillas spend all day alternating these phases of movement, feeding, playing, and resting until the evening, when they go back into the trees and build a nest for the night. The scientists have recorded every significant detail, collecting data on the behavior and biology of these animals.
We have collected a ton of data today. Action,
Okay.
indirect charge,
Yeah?
aimed at Waka.
Right.
It's a painstaking job, but it's essential if we are to better understand and protect these gorillas.
People often ask me, why are you so obsessed with these gorillas? I don't have a logical answer, but I'm lucky enough to be fulfilling my dream. Ever since I started studying biology, everything I've done in my life, every job and every experience I've had, I have done with the goal of getting to this point. I waited 30 years for this moment, so finally being with the gorillas is very emotional for me. From the outset, it has been a very positive, very enriching experience. I've made the most of it every day since I arrived here.
By leaving Europe to settle in the heart of the forest, Sonia has renewed the bond which should exist between all of us and our environment. Praxed is fighting a similar battle, helping her people to survive in their natural habitat by giving them access to healthcare. Far from nature, mankind is losing touch with its roots. Finding them again is sometimes a simple case of heading back into the forest. A few wise men like Kombo are aware of that fact. It is up to them to pass on the message. They are the sentinels of a tropical rainforest, without which no other life on Earth would exist.